And you've got an awesome Ronin statue
Right.
behind you. So
Yes, I do. Big
oh,
fan,
you've got some
obviously.
twins over there too.
Yes, have the twins over there as well. Yeah.
Wow.
I get
Yeah.
it.
If I could, I would show you the entire background, but
Yeah.
a lot of stuff. So but right off the bat, thank you so much for Visions Volume 1, Visions Volume 2. I got a chance to definitely, check out Volume 2, and it's amazing stuff. Like the animation style and everything, top tier. And that kind of leads me into my first question is like, what was the process for you guys when it came to selecting, these these 9 animation studios across the globe?
We had some studios that we are fans of, that we absolutely knew we wanted to approach. And then for the others, some we had relationships with filmmakers or previous relationships with studios. We also wanted to make sure we had a good global perspective and we're going out to different cultures. And then just looking at the work, looking at works they have done or different filmmakers, and it was not easy. There's so much great animation going on right now, but when we sort of had our studios, we then approached them to see if they would be interested in collaborating with us on a Star Wars short, and if they would have a Star Wars story they'd like to pitch. So we approach the studios and then they pitch their stories back to us.
You guys being, the EPs for both Volume 1, Volume 2, when you're, getting these stories, and I'm sure like these creators, these directors and everything, they're obviously big Star Wars fans like all of us, and I'm sure they know a lot of the lore and the expanded universe stuff, the stuff in canon, etc. Do you guys put any kind of guardrails up for them? Are there things that they can definitely let's go explore that, or are there things that definitely stay away from, because of what's to come, etc.?
No, not really. I mean, I would say the only guardrails, but with this volume in particular, there wasn't really guardrails. It was more our desire was to let them create new characters and new things, new expressions. But as far as the things that they could touch or the things that were off limits, I mean, all the elements. One of the beauties of Visions is it's a celebration of Star Wars, and Star Wars means different things to different people over 40 years of tons of content, tons of stories, tons of video games, etc. So, all of that stuff was on the table, and we wanted people to choose the elements that appealed to them and resonated and meant Star Wars to them. They wanted to celebrate. The only thing I would say that we were more hesitant about, and hesitant's probably the best way to put it, is never really said don't do this. We're really looking for those new characters. So if you're going to put a Wedge Antilles into the story, it really has to feel honest. It has to feel like Wedge is there to reinforce the new character's story, to bolster the protagonist's tale, and it needs to feel organic, right? We have to be mindful about storytelling across the portfolio, across of everything else, but I don't really, the beauty of this is because we go from a very character first approach.
Right.
Tell us a story that means something to you. It's not really, these stories aren't really trying to define big mythos across Star Wars. They're trying to tell personal stories.
One of the things that I did notice, when you compare Volume 2 to Volume 1, what felt like a common theme was children outgrowing their families, leaving home. Was that like a conscious decision, or was that something that just kind of happened, based on the pitches and things that you guys got?
That's interesting.
I think it naturally happened. I think there are kids of all ages in it. I mean, Lola's a little bit older in Sith, leaving her master. But yeah, I mean, that's right. But I think that is the ultimate DNA, though, right? I mean, George Lucas, going back to A New Hope, is like Star Wars is a story about a kid leaving home, a kid going into the world, and will he make the right choices or wrong choices? Luke is looking out at those twin sons, pondering his future and his dreams and his hopes, and his destiny.
Right.
So I think, all of that DNA had such a profound effect on these filmmakers. And I think, many of them being parents and of course, just being members of family. I think it all came from that sort of family perspective. And that is such a common theme for all of us across the globe. It's like the idea of family and siblings and sons and daughters and people we all love. And I think that is the common language of storytelling and myth making. So I think that's where that came from.
You know, a lot of Star Wars Legends stories, they're being currently repurposed, and you're seeing them kind of come into the Star Wars continuity timeline, etc. Like with things that we're seeing, obviously, like Mandalorian. Do you foresee any stories from Visions being utilized for main Star Wars canon in the future?
There's no plans for it now, in honesty. That's our hope with this, is that it's yeah, and it's about the celebration of the artist, the celebration of the culture, the celebration of Star Wars and the form animation. But look, we all inspire each other every single day across medium. You know, the things that we do in our games sometimes really light up our imaginations in other places and find their way, influencing choices made. The things we do in animation, you know, can scale into live action, and live action has an impact on everything else. And publishing, you know, clearly has an impact as well. And so we're, you know, there's always going to be cross pollination and creative people and their imaginations inspiring other people. And Lucasfilm's a culture that facilitates that in many ways, which is really wonderful. We all definitely cheer each other on and know what we're all doing. So that's great. So we can never know is really the long-winded. That's a long
Yeah,
way
sure.
to say you never
Yeah.
know, but I mean, you never know because of the bedrock of the cross-platform nature of our creation. But nothing's in the works right now.
If you had the ability, I guess, to make a sequel episode, if you could, based on, you know, these 9 short stories, is there a particular episode that kind of stands out for each of you?
I think they all somewhat
Sure.
have a ... for us that we're like, oh man, I wish we could continue for all of them. But I'm curious if any stood out for you.
I think that the two main ones that stood out for me, the Bandits of Golak, I thought was a really cool style and animation. And I personally, because of my heritage and everything being Indian, seeing an Inquisitor in that light, I thought was really cool. I would want a more specific story about him, just because.
What a great bad guy. I know.
Yeah, he's a really sinister bad guy. The mustache, you know, it just stands out. And I think the other one would be the Journey to the Dark Head. I thought how that story was told and the kind of buddy cop dynamic between the Jedi and the pilot, I thought was kind of fun. And I'd love to like see more of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is it's a testament to these creators. It's like all of these characters are powerful enough and strong enough characters that you kind of invest in all of them, and I want to see what happens with all of them. So it's hard to really say, to pick a favorite for us. It'd be interesting to see what happens to Doll, Screecher's Reach. You know, will she become a Sith? Will she fall to the dark side? They all leave on a big kind of, there's potential. You can see the storytelling continuing in all of them.
So we are getting a volume 3 then, right?
Never know. Well, if
We
this
hope
volume
so.
is successful, then, you know, we still want to make, we love these things.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, the fans, like we love them too. So yes, hopefully, definitely another one.